my name is Sarah Spurlock. This is the fourth video I've made. It's chapter 1, section 4 of your college algebra. This is Holton's class. Make sure that you're not using this for a different instructor because I don't know what you will be doing in their classes. Don't forget to bring your pencil and paper to class. Take notes. You need the notes to make your note cards for the tests. Those note cards will help you get at least, I'm gonna say 10 points better on your test, because I know plenty of people who didn't use them and then started using them, and their grades went up like a whole 10%. So clearly they are very useful. So I'm just gonna encourage you to do that because I did that and it's really great. I mentioned the calculator in the last video, one of the calculators that you should be using. I think Holton also says that if you're using a scientific calculator, you'll know which one it is. It's the one that allows you to use graphing. That's also helpful in his class, but he doesn't recommend any calculator that's like dollar store quality, and you're definitely not allowed to use your phones. He'll get you for that. Okay, so we're gonna start off, and I think we're gonna do the chapter is called Radical Equations, Equations, Quadratic Form, and Factorable Equations. So we'll try to do one of each of those equations. So the first one we're gonna do is number 10 on page 117, and it says, the square root of 3t plus 4 Oh, let me change my t so that's not confusing. I'll just leave it, it's fine. Equals 2. Okay, so what you're gonna do in this situation is you wanna get rid of the square root first. So you're gonna do that by squaring both sides. When you square a square root to a square root, you're just gonna get the numbers on the inside of it. So I'm gonna square this side, and I'm gonna square this side. This side's gonna give me 3t plus 4. That's all that happens when you square a square root. Sorry about that. 2 times 2 with the square root of 2 is gonna give you 4. And now you just solve it like a basic equation. Subtract 4 from both sides, and that's going to give you 0 on this side. These will cancel out. This will give you 0. So 3t equals 0. And then you're going to divide the 3 from both sides. Once again, these 3's will cancel out, and you'll get 0 over 3. So anytime you divide anything by 0, the answer you're going to get is 0. So that means that when you divide 0 and 3, your answer for the whole deal is going to give you a 0. So this is the answer to that equation. And that's all it is. You'll work out all of the ones from 9 to 32 like that. Okay, what he's wanting you to do though, after you get your solution, let me just erase all this real fast, sorry. What he wants you to do after you get your solution is to plug it in. So that's going to give you 3, 0, plus 4 equals 2. Ignore the square roots, remember we added those. So this will give you 0. Sorry. Plus 4 equals 2. 4 equals 2. And when you square root that, you'll get 2 equals 2. And that is how you know that your answer was correct. We'll move on to the next one now. The next problem I want to do is 44, and that says x to the 4th power going to give you plus 25 equals 0. Okay, and the instructions say find the real solutions of each equation. So what you're going to do, sorry if this is a bit jumbled, you need to first factor. So what number, when you multiply it, is going to give you 25, but when you add it, is going to give you negative 10. That number is going to be negative 5. Now, some of you might be confused because this is x to the 4th power instead of x squared. That's not a big deal because this one over here is x squared. So, you can just put x squared. You can just put x squared over here. And when you use distributive property, that will give you x to the 4th power and x squared attached to your negative 10. Don't forget your minus 0. Okay, now that you have it broken down in factor form, you can tell that these are both the same. So you only really have to work out both of them, but for the sake of it, we'll work them both out. But it will give you the same answer no matter what. So x squared minus 5 equals 0. We're using our 0 property rule. So that's why we can just separate the two and balance it to 0. Now when you solve these two, you'll add 5 to both sides. Which will cancel these out. And that will leave you with x squared equals 5. I'm not going to continue on with this one because this is where it leads you as well. So now you have to get rid of the square root connected to your x, or I'm sorry, the squared 2, attached to your x. So you'll do that by square rooting both sides, which will give you x equals 5, the square root of 5. But you have to remember that whenever you get this, right here in front of that is going to go plus minus. Because when you take the square roots of both sides like you just did, you have to think about the fact that if you were to take the square root of this 5, and it was like, let's say it was 25 instead, negative 5 and negative 5 give you 25. So if you were to take the square root of 25, yes, 5 and 5 can give you 25, but so can the negatives. So you can't forget that. That is a crucial part, and it will be counted against you if you do not include it in your answer. So you can either write it like this, like we've done before, or you can separate it out and write it x equals plus the square root of 5 and x equals negative square root of 5. That answer would work as well. Either one, just whichever one you're more comfortable with. I use the plus minus one because to me it's easier to write down and it doesn't take up as much space. So that's all I'm going to do with you guys for chapter 1 section 4, because those two things pretty much cover everything else in the chapter. You just got to put a little bit of effort into it maybe. Once again, I'd like to encourage feedback, and if you want to give that to us, it's going to be, you have to email it. It's successcenter@carlalbert.edu. Make sure you use your college-regulated email, because if you don't, we may or may not receive it or look at it. I'm not exactly sure how that works. If you need one-on-one help, it's on OC 1318, and I'm there from 4 to 7 from Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, because my job is to help you, and that's what I'm here to do. And that's all the time I have for today, so bye.